What's going on, everybody? It's August 1st. We are going to do an analysis on BTC, starting from the higher timeframes down to the lower timeframes. Then we're going to cover altcoins, which altcoins look promising. Where are we in terms of the cycle of ending July in a very promising way, and now headed into August with maybe some more upside, or maybe we retrace some of the very expansive movement that we had in July, because it was quite honestly a phenomenal last 2 weeks or so of just straight up movement, whether it's BTC, whether it's assets like Rune, whether it's Ethereum, Cardano, really anything and everything had gone up for almost 10 to 12 days straight. There's got to be some knowledge to glean from this. So we're going to cover all of that. But first, I want to cover, of course, for Advantage members, our 5K count challenge. You guys know very well. We locked in all our profits, right? We had a bunch of long positions in the market. We had BTC, ETH, Matic, SNX, SUSHI, Wi-Fi. All these yielded us a decent amount of profit. Plus, we had the Ethereum spot position. So finally, our account currently sits at $19,100. Okay. Advantage members, you guys obviously know you have access to the pinned messages right here. You can access our playlist for the 5K account. Obviously, starting off the beginning of the year with $5,000, right? And then now currently growing that all the way to about, we closed out July 30th around 17,800. And then, of course, by today, we've amassed a good 19.1K. So July was a good month for us, right? We made about, I think, 11 to 13%, I want to say, by basically, yesterday evening. Obviously, a lot more people had, if you were long, say from the very bottom, right, you had much better exposure. But for the most part, I wasn't really looking at the market in this particular area to be aggressively long. I took small positions on the way up. And position sizing for me is really the thing that matters. I'm always trying to do the best for what's good for my capital and not putting too much of it at risk. I think we did that particularly well in July and even June. In June, we ended with a negative 27% drawdown, but overall, our total P&L from the beginning of the year was 224%. Now we currently sit at about 256%. So all in all, if you've been watching our videos, keeping up with the analysis from the beginning of the year till now, you've basically outperformed BTC quite tremendously. Because here's the best way to measure your success against BTC. And again, the 5K count challenge is not copy trading. This is not a community where I provide financial advice or investment advice. I'm just simply showing you guys exactly how I trade. So the best way to measure your success of trading against the market is, this is where Bitcoin opened on January 1st, 2021. All right, right around this level. So had you bought BTC on the open of that candle, that specific day, how much are you up today? You're up 37%. Not bad. 37% is good by any standards of any market. But we have clearly outperformed that by our own strategies of the way we trade. And we're currently sitting at about 256%. Obviously a little bit higher as of today, but we'll just count that as 256%. So the reason I bring that up is I wanted to show y'all as a community that you don't necessarily need to utilize too much leverage, nor do you need to put on too much risk to be able to make good money in the market. And I think we've made that pretty clear so far. We still have about 4 to 5 months to go till the end of the year, but that's what this challenge hopefully has taught people. Making these videos for y'all for several months, you guys know this very well. We've had all our ups and downs, right? It was never a straight line. It was never 5,000 and then 6 and 7 and 10 and 15, 20, 25, 30. It was really like 5 and then 10 and then 7 and then 9 and then 15 and then 12. Then you get to 20 and then you get knocked back due to huge volatility in the market. It's like, 15 or 12. But through all those swings, I think we've done a tremendous job. And I hope you guys have too. So now on with BTC. Where are we in context of the market? Well, we closed July in a nice bang, a nice, pretty good hammer-like candle right here, banging though right into key SR, key resistance of January 2021 high, which is around $42,000. Our hope was going into the weekend when we started taking on our long positions last week, that in this area, hopefully the market squeezes higher and faster. But we didn't really get that, right? So we started to wind down our positions yesterday evening and then this morning. And luckily we got out before the market kind of, dunked on us today, right? So far, so good. I think we're doing a particularly good job of avoiding this kind of mess in the market, because the other thing about what I'm really concerned with in regards to sentiment is that the market itself has gone up in a straight line, basically. From here on the way up, it's gone up for 10 to 12 days straight for Bitcoin, Ethereum, basically any altcoin you pick. And on top of that, we're hanging right into key SR, key resistance. Everything is into resistance right now. Here's a perfect example. I pointed out DOT to you guys a couple days back, if y'all remember, right? If we go to our even my Twitter feed right here, right? Let me see here. We just wrote a huge thread on Avalanche, which we'll talk about in a second, but I wanted to show y'all on Twitter even. I posted this DOT thing on July 30th, right? I talked about, hey, if we can hold up above this $14 marker, price can easily hit this $19 level. And guess what? We banged right into that level, right? Almost to the T. So now what, right? As altcoins approach key resistance areas. So for example, DOT hit key resistance. Bitcoin hit key resistance of 42,000, right? Ethereum hit resistance of 2,550, this $2,500 resistance. Any altcoin you pick, if you see, they almost have a similar structure. They're all banging into resistance. Now the question is, well, do you want to be long after 10 to 12 days straight right into resistance? Personally, I find the probabilities skewed for me to be offsides and just at least being patient, or at the very least, maybe considering sizing down or putting on hedges. These are all options that I would probably figure you guys would consider, because after 10 to 12 days straight up like this, in my opinion, which is definitely a short squeeze, like there's really no doubt about it. This has all the signs of a short squeeze. When the market goes up like this and it just keeps ripping and ripping, shorts just get destroyed in the market. And you could actually see this in the open interest that completely was just getting dropped as the market was going up. Okay, that is a clear definition of the market telling you shorts are closing out, longs are getting pushed into the market, and guess what? As always, a majority of people will get incredibly bullish right into resistance right at the tippy top. Now, it is possible, it is always possible that maybe we go up another 4 days or 5 days or 8 days. The probabilities of that are very, very low, because historically, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin or any of these other altcoins, when they go up for 10 to 12 days straight, the pullback is very sharp and very aggressive. Okay, it really makes you want to crap your pants when the market does pull back from this style of movement. So what you got to consider is, if you're long right now, just make sure you have a plan in case the market nukes on you, I don't know, today or tomorrow or the day after. All right. So as we come into BTC, like I said, monthly close really nice, but right banging into resistance of $42,000. What about weekly? Weekly closed yesterday too. Weekly closed above this pocket right here of KSR, right? Good sign. And on top of that, this weekly high has taken out all the previous weekly highs. So good sign. The one way we can look at this and say, okay, well, how can we from here be bullish on the market? Well, if the current weekly candle, or say the next one, comes inside this 38,200 level and say tags it and then closes back up or starts pushing back up the next week, then we can make the argument that, okay, this might be the bottom. We've pushed up, retested this area of support, and now from here, we might be headed back up towards this area of distribution that we previously had. And we might even, take out these highs right here. That is entirely possible. But again, the question you got to ask yourself is, well, okay, the market has gone up a decent amount, 10 to 12 days straight. What are the odds that from here, it just keeps going straight up? The odds are kind of stacked against you, right? But again, you can definitely be spot long or long in small size, or be spot long, but with short hedges. There's many different ways to play the market. I told you all exactly what I'm going to do, which is for now, wait until the market shows me more signs, maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, right? For now, I sit completely in cash and I'm going to just wait and be patient. Are there any questions so far? No questions. Okay, perfect. So let's start mapping out levels. So the first weekly level that we talked about, right? The most important one that we're watching right now is this KSR, $38,200. So if price, say, comes and wicks into this area, and even if it wicks lower, you can make a, say, statistical bet and say, you know what? If price comes into 38,200 or it goes slightly lower, I don't know, 37K, right? You can consider taking that long at some point during this week, because the week just started and we have till next Sunday to go. So that means if the market, say tomorrow, dumps all the way to 38 or 37K, you could take a probability-based bet and say, you know what, I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to keep my stop below previous weekly low. And I would bet and say that price might close at the very least at the open of the current weekly, which is around $40,000. Okay. Or it might close higher. That is one way to play the market. The other way to play the market is you simply say, all right, this BS has gone on long enough. I still believe we are in a downtrending market. Say, for example, you don't want to buy the fact that this is the bottom. Okay. If you don't want to buy the fact that this is the bottom, this is only a short squeeze, and then from here we're headed down, then you should outright be short. You can short here, stop above this high, first target 38,000, next target 35,000, next target yearly open, and then the final target, which I'd mentioned before. Remember this channel that we consolidated in a almost running manner before we broke out? We talked about price coming back into this channel at some point. So if price comes back into this channel, let's just say by August or September, right? Late August or September, price could come down all the way to 23,000 and to the bottom of the channel, which is around 18 to 19K. Okay. So those are potential trades that you can start considering, right? All right. Now Ethereum. Let's go to the to Ethereum levels. Okay. I think Ethereum levels are pretty clear. I personally see this as, let's take a look at this, right? These are stops taken. Okay. Let me make this a different color so y'all could see properly. Let's make it yellow, bigger line, right? So basically equal highs, stops taken. Maybe you can call this a deviation, right? Over and under structure or whatever. If price comes back into this area, this level, this yellow marker is about 2630. If price comes back into this area and starts rejecting it, that could be your short. Stop above this area, above this high, and your first target profit is probably somewhere around here, $2,350 to $2,400. If that breaks, again, one step at a time, right? If that breaks and it does something like this, right? Your next target profit, $2,250. If that breaks down, then this is the next big level, $2,040. Okay. So this is how I would play Ethereum for a potential short position. Now, on the long side, again, same thing as BTC, right? If you kind of look at the weekly or the monthly, okay, Ethereum, for the most part, has put in a pretty solid looking monthly rebound candle. You can call this, a hammer or doji, right? This candle right here, if you believe that it's going to wick down further, then you can look at everything around these two opens and closes right here, all right, which is around 2275 as potential buying opportunities. So if price comes back into this yellow marker, why that yellow marker? Because this is where this candle closed and this candle opened, right? If you look at price coming into this marker, that is your potential longing opportunity, 2275. Anything below that, anything below this, anything that price comes into this low area as a wick on a monthly basis, you could look at that as a bonus and say, hey, the market is giving me another opportunity below a key monthly SR level, which is this yellow line, and I'm going to long. Okay. So if you want to simply focus on longs, all you got to do is watch this marker, and anything below this you see as a bonus to long. All right. Let me see here. There's a question in the chat. What are your thoughts on BTC to alts rotation, at least until ETH does its upgrade? All right, so let's talk about the upgrade, right? EIP 1559, supposedly is supposed to be now a deflationary monetary policy for Ethereum. There's going to be decongestion on the network. There may not be as many high fees on the network. All these great things are coming up. But guess what? It's 4 days away. Price for Ethereum has rocketed from the lows to the high for almost 12 days straight. Price is already up 50% almost. So the question you got to ask yourself is, in 4 more days, do I believe that the price from here will keep rising right into the EIP 1559? Maybe, it's possible. Again, you have to kind of think of trading as odds, right? If the market has gone up so much in a straight line with no pullbacks on a daily basis, the question really is it statistically favorable for you to be long here? And if so, do you want to be aggressively long? Do you want to size down? Do you want to put on hedges with your longs? Right? I personally find it better to just at least wait. Or honestly, the EIP 1559 has already played out in this. And that's it. Or in fact, like my whole thought process was, EIP 1559 was already well known from here on the way up. We literally doubled in price from April 2nd to May 13th. So in less than a month, we doubled in price from $2,000 to $4,400 and then completely collapsed, right? So I think of many ways of the market as being forward-looking. And it is entirely possible that the market has already priced in that EIP 1559, or maybe in some way it could just be like dump on the news event, right? I'm not quite sure, to be honest, how to look at it. So yeah, Elizabeth says she believes that one of the other reasons why ETH is moving up is not only EIP 1559, but also NFT mania, which I 100% agree with. The insanity that's been going on in the NFT space has been crazy, to say the least, right? If you guys look at this tweet thread I had posted yesterday, let me go through my tweets real quick. I think it was this one, right? If we look at this tweet thread that Zeneca posted, this person was incredibly smart, but what he or she outlined was all the different things that were happening in different parts of the NFT space, and how only over the last several weeks did this NFT market completely just go bananas, and people are paying $100,000, $500,000, million, $5 million for basically like squiggly or pixelated, art, which pretty much anyone can save by just right-clicking and using for their own profile. So there's really no not only is there no scarcity to it, there's no authenticity to it other than the fact that it quote unquote resides on the blockchain. Now, why do I think that's absurd? Well, first of all, art is very subjective. I totally understand that. But historically, if you look at how collectibles work, typically in a market, in an environment where money is flush and people don't really know what the hell to do with the money, or there's some sort of manipulation with the prices, this has happened previously with, say, gems and precious metals, collectibles such as cars, baseball cards, Furbies, right? All kinds of stuff throughout history has done this over and over again. And I find no reason to believe that this is literally the same thing. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he explained his theory of this might just be a way for bigger players, such as whales, to utilize Ethereum as the base asset to raise the price of this NFT mania and to get people once again excited about assets like ETH, about assets like NFTs and DeFi, to kind of pump up the market on the back of this news. And then the market once again continues in its rotation to the downside. Because for bigger players to exit, remember, they need more and more retail stepping in, stepping on the gas, willing to keep paying higher and higher prices, especially right into key areas of resistance. And this is how bigger players can get out of the market. Now, again, I don't really know how true this theory is, but I could clearly see the validity of it, especially when there's just a pretty weird, mania or a craze of, NFT art. And it's really not great art, in my opinion. But again, who the hell am I to judge art, right? I don't know anything about art, but I do know that when you see manias like this, they are very repetitive and they have done something historically in the past, and they will end the same way, where all of this stuff gets washed out of the market in a similar manner. Now, this isn't to say that I believe that the market from here will just continue to head down. But once again, if history is any lesson for crypto, right? If previous cycles of crypto are going to be true in any similar manner this time around, one would probably say, well, this kind of looks like a short squeeze. And then from here, this thing might just continue down. Like I told you a little while back, right? This market reminds me of what happened in 2018 and 19 back here, or sorry, well, mostly 2018, right? When BTC went from this high, it basically had this bouncy ball effect, right? The bounces get smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller, and then fizzles out, volatility drops, the big sellers can just come in and drop the entire market, right? I find Ethereum to be in a similar position right here. Now, obviously, that's hard to see, right? Because after going 12 days straight up, you kind of question your own bias and you think, wait a second, can this market go down from here? It went straight up for like 10 or 12 days. Maybe from here, we just keep going straight up till 4,000 and 5 and 10, all this stuff will pop into your mind. It's human nature. But again, if you kind of zoom out, right, you realize that here's kind of what happened over the last year. From $90, Ethereum went to 4,400. Okay, that's quite a bit of gain. And that's a lot of really, paper gains in the market. Paper gains meaning a lot of people that hang on to their positions. Basically, if you think about it, right, anyone who's been long, say from, I don't know, this point onward, right? So from June 2021, okay, onward, anyone who's been long, they're in profit. But anyone who is long from here down is going to start losing money. So everyone at this top right here, if the market has down from here, is going to start losing money. Where's January? So here's January, right? And I want to map out January because I'm going to tell you guys a little trick that Wall Street likes to utilize. Okay. So remember, in Wall Street, the world of finance sees things in terms of quarters and year-to-date returns. Okay. So if big funds and institutions are in fact in these assets, what are they going to do with some of these assets. They're going to want to start realizing profits on their portfolio. So let's just say it happens to be that Wall Street and big funds got involved at the beginning of the year, because basically at the beginning of the year was really the real mania of the crypto market started, right? So at the beginning of the year, Ethereum was trading at about $750 to $800, right? So Ethereum from here is up about 240 or 250%. For Wall Street, that's huge. I mean, that's a massive gain in the market. Whenever they see their money double or triple, right off the bat, they have to start trimming down their portfolio. One, because it weighs a lot on the other parts of their portfolio, right? Remember, when they allocate capital, right, say X millions of dollars, and that $1 million becomes 2 million or 5 million or 10 million, that is a excess percentage that that portfolio asset has gained on the rest of the portfolio. So then they have to start trimming that particular asset down. So in this particular instance, if Wall Street is already still up from this high till date, 250%, and even at the highs, they were obviously up, 500 to 700%, right? What are the probabilities that from here, right, there's going to be more and more speculation or more and more fervor from big funds and Wall Street and all these, big hedge fund guys to keep driving up price? It's possible. Obviously, we know that Ethereum has huge effects going into the future, network effects. The potential for Ethereum from today onward into the future is really limitless. We all understand that. But does that mean that limitlessness means that price has to just keep going skyrocket forever from $90 to $4,000 without any significant retrace? Not really, right? Historically, markets don't really just go straight up like that. They will have significant declines in the market. And so who knows, maybe Ethereum is still going through its mini cycle of, like I said, that bouncy ball effect. Maybe it's going to do, say something like this and this and this, and then fizzle out and maybe break down. Right? These are, again, things that you want to keep in your mind, because you never really know what kind of market that we're in until you start seeing the month-to-month movements, the month-to-month candle closes, the quarter-to-quarter returns on the market. So far, Q2 kind of closed okay. Q3 is going okay as well. We still have about 2 months to go in Q3. So we'll see what happens. But basically on the first month of Q3, which is July, right, we did okay in the market. We got a decent amount of returns back that we gave up in May and June. But now, as we head into August, we don't really know what kind of market is going to be. One other thing that I'll tell y'all to remember, August and September in US equities are typically rocky waters. Okay, they're not smooth sailing as, say, beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, typically in Wall Street, it comes out pretty strong. But August and September historically really do not go that well. So that's the other tailwind that we have to keep in mind for crypto. And if I'm not mistaken, August and September, specifically September, for BTC is also not that healthy of a month. Now, I need to do my due diligence on that, and I'll post a chart to y'all in the Advantage announcements with those monthly returns. But if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think August and September are not particularly that good for BTC. So these are all things that we want to keep in mind, okay? Now, the other assets that I'm really paying attention to, say, for example, if I don't want to short, which, by the way, I'm really not shorting right now, right? Just because I'm being cautious on the market doesn't mean I have to short. Once I secure a good amount of long returns, like I just showed y'all earlier, right? We made some good money in the month of August, okay? Currently, our account sits at 19.1K. We're doing just fine. You don't have to go short right away just because you think, oh, the market has gone up 10 to 12 days, so it can't possibly go up from here, right? I don't really care about that. For all I know, it might go up, but I don't really care, right? What I care about is, did I secure my returns? Did I make money in the market? Did I sell into resistance rather than buying into resistance, right? This is all the stuff that matters to me. So we did all the right things. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm focusing on the assets that I want to be a buyer in. Definitely want to be a buyer in Ethereum. Where do I want to be a buyer in Ethereum? Well, like I said, some of the levels that I'm watching, let's pay attention to the monthly levels, right? The monthly closes around this area right here, around $2,300. I definitely want to pay attention to. If that breaks, right? So for example, here is about $2,300. Okay. This is that $2,300 marker. Say over the next, few days or few weeks, the market does some BS like this and just starts nuking and it fails to get above this monthly level and it starts breaking down again. Well, then I don't know if I want to be long anymore, right? I might head short or I might just sit tight and let's see if market comes back to this key level, which we bounced from multiple times. That's around 2,000 down to about 1,750. If it once again comes back up, once again, you can go long here. Maybe this time around from here, we might put in a higher high and head up higher. Or maybe we do what we spoke about earlier, which is the bouncy ball effect of from here, right? We fizzle out and we put in another lower high and then break down, right? Maybe. I really don't know. Okay. But Ethereum, I want to be paying attention to that $2,300 level. And to the downside, I want to be paying attention to 1,950 down to about 1,750. Now, obviously, if that breaks, I already told y'all the levels that I'm paying attention to, 1,550, and then probably, honestly, down to about like $800 to $900. I know that's really steep, and I know that's kind of crazy to think about from here. But you guys know very well, things could get really bad, really rotten in a couple of weeks in crypto, right? So always map out levels that you want to be a buyer at. And if you want to be a buyer, don't just get scared and say, well, I can't possibly buy here because it's going to drop lower. If you've made a decision to buy in at a level, stick with it. Because what happens is when you've made a decision at higher prices to buy lower, and when you see the market nuking on you, you get scared. You get really cold feet. And you don't really have the courage to buy when the market is completely just nuking on you. So always defer back to the person that you were when you were more rational and you saw prices at a higher price and you realize, hey, let me map out these levels in the future so I know this is where I need to buy. And listen to that person when he was more rational, he or she was more rational than buying at those levels. So Ethereum, like I said, mapped out those levels. What are other assets that I'm focusing on? SUSHI. Okay. SUSHI, my number 2 asset that I'm really looking forward to, right? So with SUSHI, right, we closed out our SUSHI long position. Obviously, it did not hit our target up here, but it is what it is, right? Now our goal is to focus on, it is still range bound. As you could clearly see, SUSHI has not done squat for like the last almost 2 months. It's basically been in this range, hasn't accomplished anything. But were SUSHI to break out above $9.60 and start to trend higher, that might be an area that you might want to consider going long. On the downside, okay, if we just map out, say, a range, all right, let's go from this high to this range low. Where's the 50% marker? It's around $7.95. See that right there? So you could be a buyer at the mid-range point, which is $7.95 for SUSHI. Or you can be a buyer at range low, which is around $6.27. The other part really is if that range low breaks, then you're completely effed. And SUSHI is probably heading back to like $3.50, maybe even lower. Okay, I really don't know how much lower it can go, but you guys know very well, historically, when crypto markets really nuke, they really crap the bed. Like they go beyond undervaluation to the point where you really think like all this crap was a Ponzi. But just remember that if you really stick with the fundamentals and you really believe in a project, okay, stick with your intuition. Obviously, your intuition can be completely wrong. I'm sure you guys have learned that lesson in 2018, but at least you'll know that you stuck with it. You bought at the levels that you wanted to. You stuck with the fundamentals, but just know that crypto is very cyclical and projects can really turn from the hottest thing 1 month to just complete garbage the next. That's just how crypto is. So you got to be prepared for things like that. Okay, so Sushi is the other asset, right? Told y'all $7.95, range low right here around $6.25. And then of course, if that breaks down to about $3.50 and maybe lower. Okay, let me see. Matic was the other one that I wanted to focus on. All right. So Matic had been, once again, coming back into this range low right here, tag the range low. You guys remember, we actually closed out our shorts down here on this very candle. Now, of course, we didn't go long on this candle, but we were lucky enough to ride a short from basically range high down to range low. And we weren't dumb enough to hold it back up. So that's one of the good things that we did so far in the month of July. Now with Matic, here's kind of how I would look at Matic. Okay. So Matic is kind of sitting above this previous, range, right? If it starts getting back inside this range, once again, you can consider shorting back into mid-range, which is probably around 80 cents, or down to range low, which is around 67 cents. If you want to go long on pullbacks, I would just wait for Matic to tag 65, ride this thing back up towards $1.26, $1.50, $2 and beyond. If Matic is doing something like this, I'm almost confident that the rest of the DeFi market and the rest of the crypto market is going to do something similar. Because crypto as a whole is very reflexive and is very correlated. Generally, unless your project is just complete garbage, most of these assets move together. Matic will move with Rune, Rune will move with Sushi, Sushi will move with Luna. They just all have different time frames and different heights to which they can kind of soar to. Some assets might go up 100% 1 month. The other assets in DeFi might be trailing behind and they may only be up 20% 1 month. And then the asset that went up 100% the first month, it might just drop 50% the next, but then the laggard in the previous month will go up like 300%, right? But good projects, in my opinion, as the market matures, will catch fire. Solana is another one, right? Solana, FTT, what was it? SRM, right? The SAM coins, right? These are the ones that you want to be focusing on. Cake is another one. Perfect example, right? The DEXs are really another area of focus that you want to keep an eye on. DEXs especially, like say 1inch, Cake, Uni, Sushi. These are the ones you want to focus on because guess what? With the regulatory crackdown that we've seen over the last couple of months, the centralized exchanges such as FTT and Binance, they're probably going to lose some of their market share towards the DEXs, right? So things like Radium and Serum and Sushi, 1inch, Cake, all these things are in some way going to accrue that value. So that is definitely my main focus that I want to keep an eye on. And Perp too. Yeah, Perp protocol. Remember, we took a couple of trades in Perp, right? This one as well. I mean, just a phenomenal asset that I told y'all literally like when we were just breaking out a couple days back, and even around $13, I told y'all that this thing has legs in it to probably get to 14 or 15. Okay, let me see where I post this. Okay, we've talked about, a lot of these things, right? Here's Perp, right? We were at 13.50, took a long position, took our profit at 14. Price went all the way to TP2, which is at $15, right? So pretty tremendous gains in the market from these DEXs. So definitely keep an eye out for DEXs. All right, so these are really the assets that I'm focusing on. I will say, whatever's happening in the NFT mania space, we will keep y'all informed in the DEX and NFT analysis area. I'm actively trying to do my best to post threads and we're doing our best to kind of keep y'all updated. But Elizabeth had a great idea, which was we can start threads in these for whatever assets that we're watching or whatever sources that we pay attention to for what's happening in the NFT space. Remember, I told y'all, you can easily start a thread. Like for example, on Elizabeth's post right here, I can just click this on Discord and just click start a thread. Now you can name this thread whatever you want, and it will be as part of a new little mini thread right here on the left, as you can see. And you can follow this whenever you want. You can get notifications on this. You don't have to be bothered with like, the 10, 50, 100 messages that pass through other things. You can just focus on this specific thread, and we can keep each other updated on what's happening in terms of activity with this particular topic. I think that's one really cool thing that that Discord did. Okay. Mike says, I'm not sure it shows up for everyone. No one has seen my QNT thread, and I don't see the NFT thread you just made. So I think you have to create it on your own. It's not a thread that will be visible for everybody. It's for yourself. Okay, so the way it works is, you can create a thread, right? And other people could join it. So for example, if I create a thread, okay, let me see here. Can you guys see this thread? Let me see here. We'll have to figure it out, actually. I thought it was visible to everybody, but now I'm not so sure. Okay, but nonetheless, I think it'll be incredibly useful for you individually. And then hopefully all of us can kind of build off that thread too. All right. The last thing that I want to mention is we wrote an article on Avalanche Platform. Okay. Another L1 ecosystem that we're following, the backers, A16Z, Naval Ravikant, Polychain Capital, right? Again, just like Polkadot, just like Solana, it is a L1 Ethereum competitor. Now, I know there's a lot of competitors for ETH, and I know historically they have not done well, but we just decided to do some research. You can do your due diligence and read this article. Bradley wrote this for us. It is a phenomenal article. I hope you guys go through this. It's on Medium. So remember, our account is the Alpha Trades or Alpha Trades, right? Make sure you follow us. Make sure you clap on this article, or you could simply, you can simply go to our Twitter, which is _Alpha Trades, and you can find this massive tweet thread that Bradley has written, which contains almost everything that you need to know about AVAX. All right, so I'm super excited about AVAX. It's another asset that I'm following closely, and you guys know very well, we've written multiple articles on Medium for Olympus DAO, which is our July topic, and Curve Finance, which is also our July topic. So we're going to keep cranking out articles for amazing projects that I personally believe are going to be really useful going into the future. So make sure you all follow this stuff, okay? All right. Any last questions? Anything else? If not, I'm going to wrap up the session here. Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I'm ready to kick ass in the week ahead. All right. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Cheers.